Welcome to the 311 Griffin YouTube channel. Welcome to DCS and the F-16C Viper. We are finally getting a chance to practice with the JSOWs in the F-16. I've wanted to do this for a couple of weeks, just haven't had the time to do it. We're a bit heavy, so it took me a minute to get in the air there, but let's get the gear up because we're going pretty fast already. Okay, and there we go. So we're gonna come out of burner. Now I did a hot start just so I wouldn't have to start up the plane, so my JSOWs are aligned. I'm not gonna have to mess with that at all. But we're gonna follow the flight plan here. I won't make you guys watch it all, but we're gonna follow the flight plan here and basically fly out over the Mediterranean, get kind of around some air defense radii, and then get our altitude and come back in and try to get as long of a shot as we can with these JSOWs on an air defense area. So master arm on, and I gotta not forget to flip all these switches on. And turn the TGP on. I usually forget the TGP. Go to AG mode, power on our AGMs, and then I can go back to the HSI just to keep track of my flight plan. So now that we're all set up there, we'll kind of we're a little high as well. Man, look at that sunlight. I wasn't super excited about the clouds when they were announcing them. I thought there were probably higher priorities for DCS, but I'm really glad that they did the clouds, because and it's not necessarily just the clouds themselves, but it's just the way the light plays through the clouds and on the landscape. It's pretty cool. So anyway, we're a little high on altitude, but that's probably okay. I put in these flight plans, and then if I don't follow them exactly, I get kind of OCD. But we're going to go ahead and go to steer point 2. Turn over that way. We need to get further away from the coast. We are feet wet, but we need to get a little bit further out. Okay, now that we're kind of established, we're going to turn. I'm using the heading set knob and steer point select, or the autopilot, so that I don't have to really mess with it. I tend to, especially when I'm out not near the fence in or the you know, whatever launch zone or combat area that I'm trying to get to, I tend to just look around a lot. It gets a little boring, as I think it would in real life. So I sometimes get off of the course quite a bit. So I'm trying to use the autopilot to establish my climb and keep it under control, and then also make sure that I'm heading the right direction. Okay, we are getting close to the coast again, and there are some short range air defenses here close by, so I got to make sure that I go over those. And I also want to get as much altitude as I can, just to give these JSOWs a little bit more range. I don't want to be too high, but well, I don't want to bother with climbing too high, but I'm gonna shoot for about 30,000 feet. And then we do have waypoints on our I'm gonna double check the JSOWs there. But we do have waypoints on our target locations. We're assuming good intel there for this mission in particular, because we don't want to get close enough to use the TGP to locate, and we have cloud cover also. So we're going to use the waypoints for that. So I was doing a pitch hold to establish my climb. I'm on the right heading, and now I'm going to flip to attitude hold. I get those confused a lot. We were doing an attitude hold for our climb, and now we're going to do an altitude pitch hold for staying at this level. As we close on the target, we are contrailing, which is a little bit of a bummer, but we wanted the altitude. The clouds are broken, so you know any enemy could see our contrails potentially. And as we approach, there's our, we are getting painted now by the SAM site. We're not quite over the land yet, it looks like, but we have 4 waypoints, we have 4 JSOWs. We are going to launch all, and then we're going to roll out and disengage. Okay, and here we are getting very close to being at maximum range. The Q's coming down towards our total velocity vector. There we go. There's 1. We're going to bump the waypoint. There's 2. Bump the waypoint. There's 3. It's on the other wing actually though. Bump the waypoint, and there's 4. Alright, we're going to take it off autopilot, and we're going to roll out. I'm not in too much danger here, but just in case, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to not get shot. We're going to roll out, and we're going to reduce altitude. I don't want to contrail anymore. I do want to stay above the clouds, and I need to avoid the small amount of short-range air defenses along the coast as well. Okay, so making sure we're not contrailing anymore. Look to be good. We're going to go ahead and bump our waypoint now so we can start our return trip home based on our flight plan. We're deviating from it a little bit because the waypoints for the targets were in the flight plan, so we're not currently on the flight plan, but we can get over to the next waypoint. I'm going to offset a little bit left because of the position of the coastline air defenses, and then we're going to put it back in autopilot so we can hold altitude and heading. While we're flying back, there's probably better ways to do this stuff. I'm not an F-16 pilot, so I don't know actual procedures for this kind of stuff necessarily. I just do the best I can. So hopefully I'm not steering anybody wrong with any of this kind of stuff, but there it is. That's the disclaimer. Okay, so these guys are finally getting through the cloud layer. It takes them a decent amount of time to get to the target area. I don't remember how far away we were when we launched. I think less than 40 miles. I think you can get a lot further ranges than that, but it probably has a lot to do with altitude. Could have something to do with airspeed as well, but I'm assuming it would. Okay, we are back out over the ocean, feet wet, so and we're pretty relatively safe. So going to continue the journey home. We're not going to watch all of the journey home. Mostly we're waiting for the weapons to get to the target area to see what kind of damage they do. Okay, we're approaching the target area. It's a armored area, but we're attacking the SAM site, SA2, with a Shilka. And they've started exploding to drop the ordnance. It's looking fairly good. We were not targeting the missile launchers, just the radar, and we for sure got one. I think the other one survived, but took damage. And so here we are back at base and getting ready to land. So I'm not very good at landing. This is certainly not instructional. There may have been some decent bits of advice in the last sections of this video, but don't pay attention to how I land. Gear coming down. And our speed brakes are out as well. Down and locked on the gear. Need to come down just a little bit. And look, I'm a little late on my turn here. It might have even gotten a little low, I'm not sure. Okay, and here we are on final. I think I'm doing this close to right, but probably not quite. And I find the more I focus on trying to do it by the textbook, the worse my landings are. So, but you know, I'm doing better about keeping the E bracket in the right place and keeping it all on the end of the runway. So it's getting better. I probably should have landed on the other side of the runway to practice. Actually, I guess this is fine. And right after the landing, my aero braking got a little wild, and my there's a little bit of a crosswind, and I didn't correct for that properly, and did a little bit of off-roading. But I did manage to get it back on the runway without any major damage, and it slowed me down a lot, so I made the first turn off, which is cool. So let's crack the canopy open here. If I can get that. There we go. There we get some fresh air, and as always, thanks for watching. Happy flying.